From the second half of the 1600s all the way through to the middle of the 1800s, the musket, in all its variations, was the dominant weapons platform for warfare in Europe and America. Contrary to a lot of modern beliefs, it is in fact quite a practical and effective weapons platform. It became quite easy to produce and modify to the environment the troops found themselves in. The base principle of a musket was simple indeed. A steel tube, closed at one end and loaded from the front, meant that you could load whatever you wanted down any weapon, from a lead ball, to several lead balls, to buckshot, to pellets, or a combination of the above. Further, this technology was easy to physically scale. In situations where one could not move large artillery, such as dense woods, troops could be equipped with a rampart gun, just a musket, scaled up in all directions and carried by a team of 2 or 3 men. Now, remember those modern beliefs about muskets I mentioned? Let's address those real quick.
As my colleague had touched on earlier, modern beliefs around musketry can sometimes be informed by certain misconceptions. It is worth noting, however, that the musket is not necessarily as archaic as we might like to think. Take range, for example. Due to the nature of tightly organized and coordinated volleys that characterized warfare during the period of the 18th and early 19th centuries, it is easy to think of the musket as a weapon intended for mass fire rather than accurate fire as well. Both of these are not mutually exclusive, however. Mass volleys from lines could often take place at 300 yards, or 275 meters. Fighting up close did not often occur because of how devastating a volley could be at reasonable ranges. Engagements with muskets at 200 yards and under were not frequent, but they were often especially fatal. At 50 yards or less, a line leaves itself open to be massacred by muskets. Therefore, the musket was reserved not only the close range, as we may often think, and the proficiency with which it could kill at a range of 300 yards, occasionally even more, meant that its accuracy represented a serious threat at the time, and it was not to be written off. A more common myth about muskets, however, is that of loading speeds. The single-fire nature of the weapon did not necessitate that it would be slow to load, however, and in fact, it probably incentivized one to load as quickly as possible, especially since the weapon had the potential to be loaded with extreme haste by experienced shooters. The Prussian army provided 6 shots per minute as a record for reload times. Although this did happen under very exceptional circumstances and was not common, it does demonstrate the potential of a musket's loading speed. More realistically, though, a musket could still accomplish impressive reload times. The standard for infantry at the time was often 2 or 3 shots per minute, for example, certainly a far cry from the exaggerated 5-minute reload times that you may often hear about.
Now that we've learned a bit about the history of the musket, it's time to take a look at how it works. The mechanism itself is actually pretty simple. Flintlock muskets function by using the flint here to create sparks, which ignites the gunpowder, and that's what causes it to shoot. Pretty simple, right? Let's take a closer look. When loaded, the pan here would be filled with gunpowder and tightly closed. The bottom of the musket barrel here would also have a larger quantity of gunpowder, followed by whatever projectile you were using, which would typically be a musket ball. Now when you fire the musket, the flint here strikes the frizzen, which sends a shower of sparks down into the black powder waiting below. If you look closely here, you can see the touch hole. This connects the pan to the barrel of the musket. Now when the powder that's in the pan is set ablaze, the blaze travels through the touch hole and into the bottom of the barrel. This ignites the larger quantity of powder that's in the barrel, which causes an explosion and sends the contents of the barrel flying out of the musket and across the field.
Shoulder! Arms! This is typically how you carry a musket on parade or on the field. We stand pretty close together, so keeping the barrel more or less vertical keeps it from bumping into the person behind you. Support! Arms! 2, 3, 4, 2. 2, 3, 4, 1. Muskets are pretty heavy, so this gives your left arm a bit of a break. Carry! Arms! 2, 3, 4, 2. 2, 3, 4, 1. Secure! Arms! 2, 3, 4, 2. 2, 3, 4, 1. Now, rain can cause a lot of problems for a musket. It can rust the mechanism of the lock, and more importantly, get your powder wet and stop it from igniting properly. So holding it like this stops rain and snow and such from getting down the barrel, and it keeps the lock nice and dry under the armpit. Carry. Arms. 2, 3, 4, 2. 2, 3, 4, 1. Trail. Arms. Now, this is another way to give the left arm a bit of a break. Shoulder. Arms. Port. Arms. Now, this is often used as a prelude to charging bayonets, which we'll demonstrate in a bit, but it also gives a soldier a way to block things with good steel surface, swords and the like. Shoulder. Arms. Advance. Arms. 2, 3, 4, 2. 2, 3, 4, 1. 2, 3, 4, 1. Now, this position, as well as resting the left arm a bit again, it makes it very easy to switch into a defensive stance like so. So this is often used by sentries guarding a position. Shoulder. Arms. 2, 3, 4, 2. 2, 3, 4, 1. Present. Arms. 2, 3, 4, 2. 2, 3, 4, 1. This is how you salute with a musket. Shoulder. Arms. 2, 3, 4, 1. Order. Arms. 2, 3, 4, 2. 2, 3, 4, 1. This is a general at attention stance. At ease. Rest. Now this is a bayonet. It's about 16 inches long, fits on the end of the musket like so. Now with these, typically you would thrust into the gut, twist, pull back out. Now the reason you went for the gut and not higher up is because otherwise it might get stuck between the ribs and leave you defenseless until you could pull it back out. Now these had a big psychological impact on the battlefield, and it's not hard to see why. You see, this is a triangular blade. Even if you don't twist it, it's going to leave a triangular cut, which is very, very difficult to stitch back up. And without modern medicine, this was often a death sentence for soldiers in the Napoleonic era. So, with that in mind, it's not surprising that forces on the receiving end of a bayonet charge would often break ranks and run before the charge even hit home. Because, at the end of the day, however scared you might have been of being shot, chances are you were more afraid of the bayonet.
Order. Arms. 2, 3, 4, 2. 2, 3, 4, 1. Fix. Bayonets. Shoulder. Arms. Port. Arms. Charge. Bayonets.
Ha!